Okay. So as I told yesterday, university has given some notice, right, regarding submission of CA marks, CA 3 and CA 4, and last date was 9/5/2020 and 5/6/2020. Along with that, the practical internal marks for phase 1 and phase 2. So these activities we already have. I have already taken some tests based on that, right? So you do not have to worry that I will not take any separate test for that. Whatever we have done from time to time in those who are having theory classes in the weekend tests, weekend quiz, I will try to do the average and find out the marks to submit there. Okay, and for those who are having practical, the same procedure will be followed. Okay, I will evaluate all your copies that you have sent and the assignment that you have sent, and accordingly you get marks. Okay, for these practical sessions. That is the thing for practical. Okay, so the last date of practical, phase 2 internal evaluation of practical submission. So prior to that, you have to since probably the university, college will not be open by that time. So you have to what you have to do, you have to submit the lab copies, scan copy of your lab copies. Okay. Uh, I will create a Google Plus from the Google Classroom. I will create a kind of assignment to submit the lab copies by this time. Okay. So our session, as per the university portal, our session should end on second week of June. So prior to that, probably first week of June, I will give you the end date of submitting the lab copies. Okay. So what you have to do, you have written the lab copies, I believe. Whatever you have done, uh, please keep on writing the lab copies. Scan it through probably CamScanner or any other thing, and make a PDF out of that and send back it to me. Okay. So it will require time. So from time to time, you keep on writing and you keep on scanning the things. Okay. So that it is not a burden at the last. Okay. So that is the announcement. Second announcement that next week I will not take any class for during the whole week actually. So the students who are attending, or I think some of you are attending this session, right? I can see Abhishek, Vidisha. So OR class will also remain suspended for the next week. Okay. So we'll continue our OR class next week in the Tuesday. Okay. That is 12th of May. Okay. So please keep in mind. I'll also announce that in Google Classroom for OR. Okay. And for you guys who are doing the operating system lab, you also know that next week, that is 8th of May, I will not take any classes. Uh, I will take the classes again on the 15th of May. Okay. So that's the announcement from my side. So let us now start what we'll have today. So today, what we are going to do today. So last we have done. We have created process, right? We have created child process, and Tithi, please mute yourself. So last we have created child process and waited for a parent until a child has completed, and all the details about child and parent process. Okay. So today what we'll do, today we'll do signals. So signals, what is signal? I will come to that. So please remember, signal is an important part in process in any operating system. Signals are basically a kind of notification. Okay. Notification to a process that some event has occurred. So signal generally is generated by some event, like whenever you are resizing a window, right? Suppose Let me open a terminal. So now see, the terminal is not maximized. So if I maximize this, so an event occurred. Okay, so this will, so when I press the button of maximization, an event has occurred, and that event sends some signal to the process. Okay, and that process catches the signal, and accordingly it maximizes the window. So signal occurs like that, so signal is nothing but a notification to a process that has event and occurred. Okay, like so, so what we did, so as you can see in the example of window resizing, what happened? Whenever I am clicking on that maximize button or close button, an event can occur. So that event actually send a signal to the kernel, uh, which actually send further signal. I mean, forward the signal to the processes concerned with that. Okay. So this is kind of software interrupt. Okay. So you probably have known about hardware interrupt while you have done, while you have read about the processors and computer organization and architecture. In that time, you have probably read about hardware interrupt. So the signals here actually are kind of software interrupt. Okay. So what can we do with signals? We can the main objective is signal is to synchronize the processes. Okay. So and to get notified if and when an event occur and to actually take action on that event. Okay. So one process can send a signal to another process for synchronization purpose, as I told you, and it can also send the signal to itself as well. Okay. So that is kind of inter-process communication, or IPC, you can tell. So inter-process communication. So in OS theory, I would like to know what are you doing now? I mean, how much has been covered in OS theory class? Anybody please answer? Uh, is process synchronization done in OS theory classes? No reply from anybody. In OS theory classes, is process synchronization done? So, anyways, the causes of kernel to generate a signal is like there are several causes like for which a signal is generated by operating system kernel. One of them is like hardware exception. So when a hardware exception occurred, like suppose your hard disk is not connected, or your mouse get disconnected, or any error occurred in that hardware. So that hardware actually send interrupt signal to the CPU, or it generates some exception. Okay, so that exception actually is caught by the kernel, and kernel then sends the software interruption signal to the respective process which are working with that hardware. Okay, so so that is one cause of generating a signal by the kernel. Second cause is user generated signal. So in case of as you can see in terminal, whenever you are having some infinite loop kind of stuff, when the process is running on, and to stop that process you generally press control C, right? Control C make a process to stop. Okay, so for that, uh, what will happen, it will generate, so when you press control C, actually it generates an interrupt signal. Okay, that interrupts the process currently running on the terminal, and it then stops that process. Okay, so that is kind of user generated signal. So okay, so let us give an example. Let us go to your directory. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll try to run an infinite loop. and nano signal.c stdio.h is enough. So int main, just I will make an infinite loop while one and then print something. Okay. Waiting for interaction would be our message. And so if you compile this, so let us compile it first. GCC signal.c minus o signal.out. So it is now compiled. So if you run it, so it will uh, infinitely print this waiting for interruption message. Okay. So now when you press Control C, this process will stop. Okay. So if you press Control C, as I press Control C, the process gets stopped. Okay. So this is what kind of user generated signal. So this is another cause that a signal is generated. So one was your hardware interaction. Hardware generates some exception. Second was your user generated signal, and some software event occurred like window resized, as I have already told. Like when a child is terminated, suppose you have created a child using a fork and the child is terminated. At that time, the child after termination sends a signal to the parent to make the signal aware that one child has stopped. Okay, so at that time that is kind of I mean that is kind of the signal generated by the software itself. Okay, so when a child is killed, or when a child finishes, so it send 6 CHLD signal to the parent. Okay, so this signal 6 CHLD is basically sent to the parent process to inform that a child has stopped. So now this signal actually there are a lot of signal. I will talk about that. So this signal are actually defined in your signal.h header file. Okay, and they are basically integers, small integer starting from 1. So and all the signals start with this SIG symbol. Okay, so SIG, after that there is something denoting the type of the signal. So SIG CHLD as a for your child process termination. Whenever we press Control C, it actually generates SIG INT signal. Okay, it is for interruption signal, and it is having integer value too. So these are kind of all the signals that we can see in this system will have basically some small integer value, and all of them are defined in signal.h. Okay, so let us open this slide. So as you get to know that signals are some integers. Now there are types of signal, or signal is in broad categories, is categorized into two parts. One is your standard signal, another is your traditional signal. Okay, so signal is of two parts. One is your standard, another issue, traditional. So this standard signal is ranges from 1 to 31, and above 31 are the traditional signals. Okay. So as I shown you that sig int has integer value 2, and it belongs to this standard signal category. Okay. Now whenever a signal is generated, so there is something that whenever a signal is generated, so what happens is there are the signal is meant for some process, right? uh, the signal is actually caught by some process or meant for some process. So it may happen that the process is at that time running, or it may happen that the process is at that time in the ready queue or waiting for some IO event to occur, right? So if you can remember the process diagram, so a process is in ready state, right? A process can be in ready state, or whenever a process is in ready state or in the ready queue, it can be dispatched by the dispatcher, right? And in that case, it will then get into the running state, right? Now what happens in running state, whenever it is from running state, whenever it is required to do some input output operations, so it get into that waiting state, right? So that is your waiting state. And from waiting state, whenever the event has occurred, then from waiting state the process moves to again the ready queue, right, for execution. Okay. So this is the process life cycle, right? Now what will happen, suppose I generated a signal for a process. So at that time the process may be in this ready state, or process may be in the running state, or the process may be in the waiting state, right? So but I need to deliver that signal to the process. So if the process is currently running state, so there is no issue. Okay. So the signal can be generated then and there. I mean, signal can be delivered to the process then and there. But what if the process is in the running state or waiting state? So in the running state or waiting state, the process can be delivered to the signal. So at that time, the signal has to wait. So similarly, what we can have, we can have the states of the signal as well. Okay. So suppose we generate a signal, so the state of the signal is now generated. Okay, from a software. So a signal is first generated. So once a signal is generated, the signal is in generated state. Okay. Now the generated signal, if the uh, now the generated signal, if for the process it is meant for, if it is in the running state, so it can be converted into the delivered state. Okay. So when this will happen, when the process is running, when the process is running, the when the process is running, the signal that is generated is delivered to the process then and there. Okay. But the signal get into the pending state. The signal get into the pending state when the process is not running. Okay. So when the process is in queue, So when the process is in ready state, or when the processing in waiting state, then the signal that is generated gets into the pending state. Okay, and once the process is dispatched again by the scheduler to the processor, so it is the dispatch event of scheduler. So when the process again dispatched by the scheduler, then the signal is delivered to that process as soon as it is dispatched by the scheduler. Okay, so this is how the signal life cycle goes. Okay, so once it is generated, it is delivered to the process for it is meant for, if the process is running. But if the process is in the ready state or waiting state, then the signal get into the pending state. Okay, and as soon as this process is dispatched by the scheduler for CPU, so then and there the pending signal is delivered. Somebody is telling something. I am not audible. Hello, I am audible now, Momaji.
Sir.
Okay. Anyway, so coming back to this, so this is how a signal moves through its states. Okay. So now what will happen when a signal is delivered to a process? So I am now currently giving you a brief idea about signals. Once we have some idea about signal, then we will move into doing some hands-on. Okay. So when a process is delivered to a signal, when a signal is delivered to a process, the process act on that signal. Okay. Now there are some default action. I will talk about that, but the process also ignore. I mean, a process can also block some of the signals that that it is receiving. Okay, so for that actually there are some marks in the slash proc slash pid thing. So there the marks is set. So the thing is a process can block some of the signals using some bit marks. Okay, so we'll come to that. So okay, so the default action upon delivering a process is based on the which action we are getting. Okay, so let us show you let us show you what will have the signal. So we have to man 7 signal. So if you do man 7 signal, you will get to know about the signal that Linux process dealt with. Okay, so man 7 means in the seventh segment of the manual, you have this entry for this signal. Okay, so it has the overview of the signals. So now when a process receives a signal, that's for that signal there is some default action. Okay, what are the default action? These are the 5 default action that are associated with some of the signals. So one of them is terminal. So the default action. So if a default action of a if a default action of a signal is term or termination. So as soon as the process receives that signal, the process gets terminated. Okay, like the control C. Okay, so the control C has a default action termination. Okay, so as soon as any process receives the control C signal, unless it handles the signal, it is bound to do the default action, which is terminating. Okay, next thing is ignored. Okay, so some signal has default action as ignored, like the 6 CHLD signal. Okay, so when a uh, when a process actually when a process receives the 6 CHLD signal, it means that its children has finished. Okay, but as you have done, as you have seen doing the fork programs, while you have done the fork program, that when a child gets sent, the parent doesn't get to know anything until we do wait, right? So, but the thing is, when a child process finishes, the child process send a 6 HLD signal to the parent, okay, and parent receive those signal, and by default action it is ignoring it, okay. So that is the ignore the default action ignore. So some of the signal have default action ignore as well. Next is code. So default action for this process is code dump. Okay. So you have always you have sometimes this error message while you are running your program in GCC, and you have some pointer action, and you have allocated you have suppose you are having an array from 0 to n, and you are trying to access that array after n, okay, or -1 location. So at that point you are getting some exception, right? Like segmentation called core dump, right? So that is what the core dump is. So what happened when a core dump occurs? So when a core dump occurs, a core dump file is generated, okay, and that file, core dump file, actually uh, holds the virtual memory. I mean the image of the virtual memory. So of the process. So as in the last two classes during the process, I have shown you the virtual memory space of an process, right? So that is in the /proc/pid and in the maps file, right? So in that virtual memory of that process, whatever data is there, whatever is written, that has been saved as a core dump file, okay. So what is the usage of it? So this file, this core dump file, is basically loaded into the debugger by the programmer, or into the debugger actually, to inspect that what was the state at which this program got terminated, okay. So this is kind of for debugging purpose, that why the program has crashed, and from that program file you are basically able to, I mean not you, I mean anybody who have idea how to debug this hexadecimal memory element files, he will get the idea why this program has crashed, okay. So that is the necessity of the core dump file. So some signal has default action as core dump, okay. So let us see. So if I get out of this, and if I run this signal.out, so now it will have infinite loop, right? It will run infinitely. So what we'll do, in place of pressing Control C, I will now press Control backslash, okay. So Control backslash probably send the seek stop signal, and the default action of it was core dump, okay. So see, if I run this /signal.out, okay, so it is now infinitely running. In place of pressing Control C, I will press Control backslash. Now see what happened. So it is now quit and the code is done, okay. So Control backslash, the signal it is generated has a default action core dump, okay, but Control C does not do core dump. So if we run it and if we do Control C, you can see there is no core dump operation. So that is the thing. So mm, some of the signal has associated default action as core dump, okay. Now stop is again some of the signal has associated with default action stop, means the process that is currently running, it got suspended, not terminated, okay. So once it is suspended, so it can be come back with this continue command, okay. So let us see. Control Z is used for stopping it. So if we run it and if we press now Control Z, so you can see that this program is now stopped, okay. So it is not killed. So if we do probably PS -X, okay, you can see that the signal.out is still there, okay, the entry is still there. So what we can do, I think probably FG is the command. Yes, FG is the command. FG send another signal to continue the stop process, okay. So you can see as soon as I press FG, the program starts turning. If you press Ctrl Z, the program got the stop signal and it suspends the program, okay. It will suspend the program until it receives another continuation signal, okay. So if you press FG, FG and press enter, so it will again continue the process where it has stopped. Okay, so again if we go back to the manual of the signal, so you can see that stop signal. So default action is to stop the process. Stop means not terminate, it is basically suspending the process. Okay, and there is a continuation signal CONT. So default action is continue the process if it is currently stopped, which you have just done. Okay, when you when you write FG and press enter, so this will basically send a signal to that has a default action of continuation. Okay, so whichever process is basically stopped previously uh, is now will be executed. Okay, so these are the default action associated with some signals. Now the thing is we can set some disposition for this default function. Okay, uh, so whenever a process receives a signal, what we can do, we can let the process get accordingly to the default function whatever it is doing, or we can block the signal, or what we can do, we can it, we can register a signal handler for that process. So whenever a specific signal is received by the process, the signal handler will come into picture and it will get executed in place of its default action. Okay, so that is our main objective of learning the signals. So signals will be sent by various processes to your signal for synchronization purpose or for any other purpose. So once you receive that signal, so you can choose your process or your program how should it behave on receiving some signal. Okay, so it can be that it allows the default action. Okay, so you can do that. So for that you have to do nothing, the default action will occur automatically, or you can block those signals by using bit mask, or you can set some signal handler. Okay, so we'll learn more about signal handler in this session. Okay, so if we try to talk about signal handler, a signal handler is nothing but a function that will be written by the programmer itself. Okay, so so the programmer himself or herself will write the signal handler. So that is nothing but a function. Okay, so that function specifies what we will have to do if you receive a signal. Okay, and to inform that, so once you write a signal handler, now how the program will, okay, so let me write the signal handler first. So what I have done now, I have written a signal.c file, right? So nano signal.c, and let me include here hash include signal.h. Okay, so this will allow me to work with the signal. Now what we will do, we will write a signal handler like void suppose sig handler. Okay, int sig. So a signal handler has to have this signature. Okay, it should return void and it should return the integer value of the signal. Okay, so which signal it is receiving, these two thing has to have in the uh, in the uh, in the signature of the of a signal handler. Okay, because signal handler is invoked or is dealt with function pointer, and the function pointer is only take this kind of signature. Okay, so that's why any signal handler that a programmer is trying to write has to have this signal handler, this signature. Okay, so void whatever be the function name, and then it should take one integer variable which is basically denoting which signal it is receiving. Okay, and here what I am writing, I am writing like okay, so let me write like printf slash n. Here I am writing like receive signal percent d, the what signal I am receiving, that I will write. Okay, so let us write signal. And in case of slash n, let me put here slash r. So slash r basically will keep you in the same line and make you take you to the beginning. Okay, and it will keep on printing the thing. So along with receive signal, let me give another slash n at the back. So what will happen now? So if it is the this is the main program, right? So here I am infinitely printing, waiting for the interruption, but it will be printed in the same line again and again. Okay, so you will not see the screen is scrolling up. Okay, so you'll see that one line is printed on top of that only. Now as soon as I have also written a signal handler. Okay, so as soon as we receive some signal, this handler should give you this message, right? Receive this signal. So let us see whether it works or not. So let us save now. So we have had a signal handler along with us. So save it, exit, and let us compile it. GCC. Okay. So let us compile it, and if we run it, so you can see that the waiting for interruption is printed infinitely, but in the same line. Okay, that's why the screen is not scrolling. So slasher do the thing. It is returning to the start of the line. Okay. Now it is infinitely printing the, and it is waiting for the interruption. Okay. Now if I press Control C, uh, so as we learned that it should the signal handler should handle it, right? So if we press Control C, the message should be shown, right? Now let us press Control C and see what happens. So we press Control C, and the interruption occurred, but no message has been shown, right? No message has been shown. So why? The thing is, you have written we have written the signal handler fine, but how the process will know that this is a signal handler and this is not any normal function? Got my point? So we have written a signal handler, but there is no scope for the program or for the process to get to know about that this is a signal handler, or whether this is a signal handler or this is a normal function. Okay, so for that, what you have to do, you have to register the signal handler against the signal for which we are working in this signal handler. Okay, so to register a signal handler, what we can do, we can use the signal function. Okay, so let us see about the signal function. So man to signal. So you can see that this is from signal.h, and this signal function, what it does, uh, this signal function takes the signal, that is the integer value of the signal, and the signal handler t. Now this signal handler t is nothing but the but a function pointer. Okay, and it also return the signal handler t. So this signal function actually registered the function, I mean a function which I will pass in this signal handler or in this function pointer, and against this signal. So in this program we have to write we have to register this signal, uh, register the signal handler against some signal, then only it will work. Okay, and the thing is, what is this signal handler t? So here is the definition of the signal handler t. So if you look at it, it is nothing but a function pointer, right? A function pointer which returns void and which takes an integer parameter as input. So that's why any signal handler has to follow this structure. Okay, so any signal handler has to return void and has to take one integer variable as a parameter. Okay, so this signal function will register this handler for this signal. Okay, but you can see that there is another signal handler or another function that has been written, right? So this is nothing but this is the old signal handler which was registered for this signal. Okay, so the signal function, this signal function actually register this new handler for this signal, and whatever signal handler was there by default registered prior to this will be returned by this one. Okay, now this signal handler actually does not give you the memory address, rather it will give you some kind of constant. Okay, sig IGN or sig DFL, it means that default action, or IGN means ignorance. So this kind of stuff will be returned if it is if you register a signal handler against a signal. Okay, so this signal handler will so this will return a sig error. Okay, so you can see that sig error if you cannot register the signal handler properly, or if the signal handler is not registered properly. Okay, so we'll check error that whether this signal function is returning sig error. So that will denote us that the register we was not able to uh, register the uh, signal against the register the signal handler against the signal. Okay, so if you come back to our program, so we have the signal handler, we have the program. Now what we have to do, we have to register the signal handler. Okay, so for doing that what we have to do, we have to use the signal command. Okay, so signal, and in that signal we have to give for which signal I am registering the signal handler. Okay, so as I told you that SIGINT is the interrupt signal that is generated by pressing Control C. Okay, so we'll register this signal handler for this one, and uh, we have to pass the function, right? The signal handler that we have written, so that is sig handler. Okay, so this signal is now taking this signal for this signal sig int will now register this signal handler for it. Okay, so for this process, so what will happen, so as soon as it receives this sig int, it will now call this sig handler. Okay, this function will be called now. So let us write the code. So we'll check an error. So if signal handler registration gives some error, sig underscore err. Okay, then we'll print some error message like error over. So error over, I think we need to include hash include history.h. Okay, so now what we have a signal handler, and we have registered the signal handler against the sig int for this process. Okay, so now we'll run this. So save it, exit, compile it. Okay, and then run it. So it is now infinitely running in the same line and printing the waiting for interruption message in the same line. Okay, now if you press Ctrl C, see what will happen. See, it has received the signal. It is got pressed twice. Okay, so it has received the signal, and it has received and print the signal integer value, that is 2. Okay, but the process uh, is not finished. Okay, so that is what the signal handler do. In place of having the default action, it will have its own action, right? So in that own action, what we have done, we have just printed the signal is signal value, right? But we have not do anything for termination of the process, right? So that's why the process is not terminated. The signal handler, whatever we have written in the signal handler, only that part will be done. Any default action is now discarded. Okay, so the many time you will press Control C, it will only give you the printf line, and it will again infinitely get into the loop. Okay, so it is receiving the signal, and upon receiving the signal, it is doing the job that is written in the signal handler, and then it is again continuing its own task. Okay, so in that signal handler, if you try to get exit, you write an exit command, there is no issue. But the idea is you can write your own signal handler. Okay, without without with discarding the original or default action of the signal. Okay, so let's press control backslash. So this will now end our program because the signal handler is not registered for control backslash, right? So that's why the control backslash worked here. Okay, so we got to know about what is signal handler and how it is working. So you can write signal handler and you have to register it against the signal to bring it in your work. Okay, so a signal handler is a function that will be invoked by a program if some signal against which it is against which the handler is registered. Okay, so that is what a signal handler is. So now okay, so we have not completed yet about the signal 7. So man 7 signal, let me get a bit detail. So we have seen this part, right? So we have seen what is the default default action for a signal. Like for control C or SIG INT, the default action is termination, right? And we also see that we can set some disposition for a signal. So for that mm, for that for setting the disposition, we have to register. I mean, there is three kind of disposition. One is we can allow the default action, another is we can block the default action, or we can block the signal itself, or we can have some signal handler, right? So we are now focusing on the signal handler. So we have seen that what is a signal handler, and a signal handler is kind of a program that have the specified function signature, and that signal handler has to be registered against some signal so that it can work on top of that signal. Okay, so let us get into some other details of the signal. So what we can do, we can send the signal uh, to other process using kill. Okay, so we'll look into kill after this, but there is something I just wanted to tell you. Yes, so this is the chart of the standard signal. Okay, so 0 from 0 to 31. So there are all the signals are there. Okay, so see ABRT is your first signal, probably signal one. I do not know. Okay, anyways, so these are the signals, and for these signals, there are some default action associated with it. You can see it. Okay, so you can see that SIG INT. So this is the signal when you press Ctrl C. So default action is termination. Okay, and description is interrupt in the keyboard. So similarly, you can see that there are many signal like 6CHLD. So 6CHLD is child stopped or child terminated, and the default action is ignored. So that's why whenever a child is terminated, parent does not do anything. Okay, it just ignores that thing. So what you can do now, you can write a child parent program. When the child terminated, parent prints some message like a child has been terminated, like that. Okay, so we can now catch the signal. We can have the signal handler which will be registered again this 6CHLD, and then it will print the message in the signal handler. Okay, so 6CLD is nothing but a synonym for 6CHLD. 6CONT, and I am just going through some of the important signal that might require for us. So seek continue is nothing but the that default action is continuing. So as we see that when you press control backslash, it is suspending the process. Okay, it is not terminating. So to uh, keep the keep the process again uh, into the execution, what we have to do, we have to send some 6CONT signal. Okay, so with the FG command, actually it is sending the 6CONT signal to that suspended process. Okay, so as soon as it receives the 6CONT signal, it starts execution from where it has stopped. Okay, SIG FP is for floating point error. Okay, and the default action is core dump. Mm, Similarly, SIG INT seek kill is another one, which is basically done by the kill command. Okay, so using kill command actually we can send all the signals. So I will get into the kill command in details just a bit later. Seek pipe. Seek quit is probably when we press the control backslash, this seek quit signal is sent to the process. Okay, so you can see that in the previous example, when we have uh, when we have the signal handler for control C, the process is not terminating, right? It is continue running because we have a signal handler which is not terminating. So what we did, we press the control backslash, right? So this control backslash sent this quit signal to the process. Okay, so it is quit from the keyboard, and the default action is pour dump. Okay, similar is called segway. This error I think you have faced when you have done your program with pointers, right? So it is generated for invalid memory reference. Okay, and the default action is pour dump. So many times you have when you are running a program in Linux, you might get this error like segway. This is segmentation error. That is because invalid memory reference you are pointing at. Okay, and the default action is pour dump. Uh, Seek stop is when we are pressing Ctrl Z, so that actually stop the process. Okay, seek term is the termination signal. Seek trap is for breakpoint or trap. Seek trap I will not require that anyways. So more or less this much of signal will require. Okay, so among these signals, seek kill and seek stop cannot be caught, or blocked, or ignored. So this exception has to be there. Okay, so we cannot uh, catch or block or ignore this exception. Okay, so this is it. And another thing is these are integer values. So as I told you that this signal is associated with some integer values, right? And which is defined in your signal.h file. And you will see that that for different computer architecture, the value is different. Okay, so the generally CGINT is 2 in our machine, that in x86 or ARM based processor, but for Sparks or for MIPS or this architecture, this is also 2, right? But you can see the differences like here, like SIG PWR is 30 in our machine, but 29, 19 in other machines. Okay, so that's why whenever we are working with signal, we do not work with this integer value. Okay, because this actually depends on the architecture of the computer. Okay, so that's why we should always use this name in place of the integer value. Okay, whenever we are working with these signals. So that is the signal for now. So what we will do now? So we have seen that we can send a signal from terminal, which the process is catching. Okay, because we have registered a signal handler for it. Now as we also get to know that we can send a signal from another process to from a process to another process, right? So for that we have to use the kill command. So let us see the kill command details. Sorry, let us do man to. Yes, so see what the kill function is taking. So the kill function is taking the PID. So the PID means so this kill function will be called from a function from a program, right? So where we will have to send the PID. We have to uh, we have to write the PID of the target process. Okay, where we are trying to send the signal. So PID of that process is required here, and the signal that we are trying to send in that process. Okay, so this is the simple notation. So there are some values that PID can take. So based on that, we can see. So if PID is positive, so the signal SIG is sent to the process. Okay, with the ID specified by the PID. So if you have a positive PID value over here, so this signal will be sent to that PID. Okay. Now, if the PID equals to 0, then the SIG is sent to every process in the process group or the calling process. Okay. So now, if you send 0 over here, so it will this signal will be sent to all the processes in that process group. Okay. So every process has some process group associated with it. Like if you can get to know like PS minus PS space J. So if you run the PS space J command, so you can see that the commands that are currently running, and if the PID of that PID of that execute processes and the parent processes and PGID, right? So PGID is nothing but the process group ID. Okay. So so if you look at it, that so generally PGID is taken the value as same as the uh, parent process kind of stuff. So but not always. How can I define PGID? So anyways, PGID is actually the group ID. Okay, so you can see that all these PIDs, all these processes has same PGID. Okay, so this PGID is uh, basically of this process. Okay, so see, whenever a process is created, its respective PGID is created by the first process of the process group. Okay, and then you can also change the process of the process group of a process using some set PG ID or something like that. So set PG ID. Okay. So using set PG ID, you can set the process group of the process. Okay. So we'll not be concerned about sending a signal to the process group. Just for our information, actually, we are getting to know what are the options that are available for kill. Okay. So one thing is whenever PID is greater than 0, it will send directly to that signal. When PID equals to 0, it will send the signal to all the processes in that process group. So if PID is -1, then the signal is sent to every process for which the calling process has permission to send the signal, except for process 1. Okay. So if you write -1, so that signal that you are sending will be sent to all the process in the system for which you have the permission to send the signal. Okay. So here also again permission comes into the picture, and so you can send a signal to all the process. So -1 is basically used for broadcasting. Okay. For a broadcasting signal. So if you use PID as -1 in the kill command, so if you write -1 in this PID value, so it will send the signal specified this SIG to all the processes in the system. Okay, except the first process or init process. Okay, so this is the values of PID that PID can take, and uh, so that's it. So now let us look an example. Okay, so what this kill function will return? So kill function actually returns some integer value. Okay, so on success, it will return 0. Okay, so it means that at least one signal was sent. Okay, so because you can also send to a group of processes, right? So if at least one is sent, it will return 0 as success. Okay, or it will return -1 if it is not success, and some error number is set appropriately. So what are the error number? Let's look at this. So any val e-inval, it means that an invalid signal was specified. So you have specified a signal number which doesn't exist. Okay, next is EPERM. So this is for permission. So you are trying to send a signal to a process for which your process do not have the permission to send. Okay, at that time it will give the error like EPERM. Okay, and then we'll have ESRCH. Okay, so it means that the process to which you are trying to send does not exist. uh, so this is the kind of the error that you can get while you are calling the kill. So based on this error you can also do some work in your program. Okay, so anyways, so you get to know how to send a signal to a process. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll try to use this kill command to send a signal. But for that actually we need the process ID, right? So generally is uh, kill is useful for sending signal within the child and parent, right? Because you can get the child and parents process ID using the get PID get cookie ID. So for so let us create similar kind of a program. Okay, so like nano, let us do like kill.c. So hash include stdio.h hash include Romeo.h hash include sorry, that is the reflex by reflex this university.h, and next is signal.h. Okay, and what we will do, 99. So here we'll create a process, not process. Okay, let us do for if for. So let us do for PIDT is equals to for. Okay, so now in the parent we will have PIDT is equals to some value. So PIDT PID is equals to for. Now if PID double equals to 0, then it is the child process, right? So in the child process, what we will do, uh, in the child process, we'll register a signal handler. Yes, so register a signal handler for control C. Okay, so let us write a signal handler like void sig handler. You can give any name. Okay, so void say child handler. Okay, and like int signal, and here you can write like printf. Uh, Received signal is equals to %d. Okay, size is slash. So now we'll register this signal handler in child. Okay, so if child handler int if signal let us do like uh, sig stop, right? So let us register sig stop for this one. So sig stop and child handler. Okay, so if this signal register gives sig underscore error, it means there are some error. Okay, so we'll print some error message there. Printed, uh, printed. Okay, give us error, error signal. Okay. Otherwise, what we will do, we will do some infinite looping over in the child. Okay, so while one, we will do some infinite looping. Printed. So in the same line, it will keep on printing. Okay. So so this is what we are doing in child. Now let us write the code for parent. In parent, what we will do, we will set the signal to the child. Okay. So we will send the signal to the child. Okay. So what we will do, we will also okay. So in the child handler, after printing the received signal, and we will get exit. Okay, from the child. Now let us see if we do exit. If if it returns the 6CHLD to the parent. Okay. So what we will do, we will send 6 stop to the child using the kill command. Okay. So the syntax for kill was if kill. So I have to keep the ID where I am trying to send the signal, which is PID, the PID of the child, and then the signal I am trying to send is 6 stop. Okay. So if this is an error, it will return -1. So if this is not equals to, if this is double equals to -1, or let it be like this, if this is double equals to 0, then it is success, right? So in that case, what we will do, uh, so in that case, we'll register another handler for parent. Okay, so for parent, let's write a handler like for uh, parent handler. Okay, so int siz, then like print the child has stopped. So we want this parent handler uh, to be registered against the 6CHLD signal. Okay, so which is generally ignored by the parent. So in place of ignorance, we are setting this disposition, this signal handler as disposition. Okay, so we'll send the kill kill signal to that thing, to the child. Prior to that, let us register the parent handler. Okay, so here what we'll write, you will write if signal sig chld uh, is child handler, so parent handler, right? Parent handler. Okay, is equals to sig error. So we will get some error message. Okay, okay. Otherwise, So it will register the parent handler, and then it will send the seek stop to the if it is not equals to 0, so we will print like clear of kill. Okay. So what this program is doing, so it is creating a child. Okay, in the child process, it is registering the child handler, which is showing the received signal, this one. Okay, and then it is infinitely printing after registering. It will infinitely printing this waiting message. Okay, what we will do, and in the parent we are registering another signal called sig handler, and we are basically then killing the six stop process. Okay, so it might happen. Okay, let us see how this program will. So what we are doing in the parent, we are registering for the 6 chld signal, we are registering the parent handler. Okay, and then we are waiting, we are sending the 6 stop signal to the child. So once child receive the 6 stop signal, based on this one, the child should print this message, right, based on the signal handler of child. So once child have that signal handler, it will get exited. So once the child is exited, it will send some 6 chld signal, right, so which is again register for the register against the parent handler in parent, right. So in the parent handler, it should print the message. Okay, so let us see whether this is behaving properly or not. Then see. Okay, so let us now here, let us compile kill.c. So gcc kill.c minus 4 kill.out. Okay, so see it. Okay, we have to leave part. Okay, so for exit actually, yes, I need stdli dash include std lib. This is required for exit function. Okay, and exit function also requires some parameter, right? So exit 0, save it, exit it, and then compile it. It is now compiled. Now if we run kill.out, see what happens. Write fg. Oh, I think sorry, I forgot. So as we saw that for, I think 6 stop cannot be overwritten, right? 6 stop. We come over here. I think we cannot register something. Yes, so we cannot do something for 6 stop, right? 6 signal, 6 kill, and 6 stop cannot be caught, blocked, or ignored. Okay. So in place of 6 stop, let us do sig int. Okay. So let us edit it. So in place of 6 stop, what I have to do is sig int. So let also the parent give us sig int. Okay, now save it, exit, compile it, then nothing is shown. And why is so? Uh, so this is the case. What might happen is that as soon as child is created, by that time child handler is registered. Okay, what is happening probably is that parent registers its handler, and it send the kill signal. Okay, so what we'll do, let us print some longer loop, write some longer loop over here. So for int I is equals to 0, I not equals to something like 10 lakh, and I plus plus. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Abhishek. I forgot double equals to. Yeah. If PID double equals to 0, right? Thank you. So let us see compile again. So here again nothing is working, right? That is might be the parent has finished by the time child has been start working. So let us try this. Let's see what if this working or not. Now it is working. Uh, but okay. So see, parent has not shown anything, right? Why? So if you look at this, the child is giving the signal, right? Received signal, but we have also written a parent handler, right? A child has stopped, right? But that is not invoked. Can you tell me why from the previous knowledge? You should answer this. You know the reason why the parent is not showing this message, because parent has the signal handler are registered, okay, and parent is sending this kill signal, okay, and that's why in child the child handler is invoked and it shows that received signal is true, right? But in the parent also parent handler is registered, right? But parent is not giving any output from the parent handler. Why? Anybody? See what is happening here. The parent has registered the parent handler, fine. Parent is waiting in the 10 lakh or 1 crore loop, and by that time it is actually giving the child the time to get registered the child handler and start this loop, okay. Now by the time what happens, it has finished the loop and it sells the kill signal to the child, okay. So that's why the child handler message has been print, right? But after sending the kill signal, the parent is not waiting, right? It has get out of the loop. It is finished. Parent is finished its execution, okay. So what we can do, we can let us in place of writing wait, let us again write this longer loop in the parent, okay. So in place of writing this, let us write this longer loop, like if int I is equals to 0 and I not equals to this much of values and I plus plus, okay. So let's see if by this time the child is killed and signal parent is probably doing some work and parent should catch the signal, okay. Let's see if it happens or not, and let us now run. Yes, now it is showing the child has stopped, right? So got the idea of what is happening, what was the why it was not showing the error, showing the message in the parent. So first thing, so from the mistakes, from the errors that we have learned is that the child has received the when we have no longer loop in that parent, what is happening, the child is working and child is being killed. That parent is not waiting for the status of the child, or parent is not doing something else, parent has finished, right? So whatever signal sent by the child is not caught by the parent because parent has by that time finished. So what we did, we introduced a longer loop. We introduce a longer loop here at the last, and we want to see that while parent is executing this longer loop, by that time the child has been killed, okay, should be killed. So the child has been killed and child sent the signal back to the parent, okay. So that is now handled by the parent handler and which basically shows you the message, okay. So this is how you can do it. Another thing you also can do, that I need also to show to you, is that you can register the same handler for multiple signals. Okay, so the same signal handler can be registered for multiple signals. So like likewise, you can do like in child we might do this like signal for see what are the signals available. So suppose let us give this circuit and see what will happen. So coming back to here, so we will register the circuit, okay, in the child and with the same child handler. Okay, okay. If double equals to C error, what we will do is P error. Okay, so we are registering same handler child handler in child for both the signal, okay, sig int and sig quit. And in parent, now suppose in place of sig int, let us send sig quit. So this will also work. Okay, let us send sig quit in place of sig int. So this should also work. Okay, now the now if you compile it, the parent will send sig quit signal to the child in place of sig init. Okay, so compile it and then dot slash. Okay, so child is printing like waiting, and by that time it has received the signal. Okay, so child was printing in the line, you can see that child was printing the lighting line waiting, and by that time it has received the signal. So it has stopped, and then the child has stop message being shown by the parent. So you can register more than one signal, sorry, more than yes, more than one signal for a same signal handler. Okay, so switch. So nano, let us do nano this again. So now what we will do, we'll based on the signal value. So since see what we can register multiple signal again the same signal handler. Okay. Now you can based on this signal value you can also here write some code. If we receive this kind of signal, this what will be done. If we receive that kind of signal, that work had been done. So let us do like this. So let us make a switch SW switch on the signal that we have received. Okay, and in that switch, what we will do? So in that switch, we will have a case. So for case siga int. Okay, so siga int is an integer, right? So we can give it in a case. Let us do like printf. Printf and received, so interrupted. Okay, so when we are having this siga int, we are getting this message like, okay, printf interrupted and then exit. Okay, so for siga int we are getting this, we'll get this, and for sig stop. Okay, so for sig stop, uh, say it will printf, it is a stubborn handler, so it is telling that I will not stop. Okay, I will not stop. Okay, and make a break, will not make an exit command. Okay, so with six stop, with this code, with this handler actually, the child will not stop. Okay, it will show the message and it will continue executing its code. Okay, uh, and by default, if we receive any other comment, any other signal, so let us do this. Okay, let us not exit, let us just show the. So now this child handler, what it is doing, the signal it is receiving, it is now do some classification. So if it receives int signal, it will print that message that I am interrupted or interrupted, and then it will get exited. Okay, now if it receive that no, I will not stop, so what will happen, it will, if it receive the stop signal, so it will print that no, I will not stop. Okay, and by default, if it reads any other signal, it is just printing the signals integer value. Okay, so now you can see that we have registered only two of them, so this default case will not appear because only two, this sig int and sig quit is registered against this, and these two cases are handled in this handler, right? So default case will not be executed, but anyways, so now what we will do in parent, so in parent we will first send the sig quit signal. Okay, so I forgot. Sorry. Here actually we are sending not sig stop, we are sending sig quit, right? So sig quit, and here also we have to register sig quit. Okay, so so from parent we are now will now first send the sig quit signal. So what will happen, the child handler will show the same handler will show you the message that I will not stop. Okay, and next we will again send another signal from parent, like if kill PID and then sig uh, sig int. Now I will send the interrupt signal. Okay, not equals to 0, and then clear. So here we will be giving kill. Okay, so now what we will do, the parent will send the sig quit first to the child. So child will receive this, child will have the handler. So child will, according to handler, will show that I will not stop. Okay, and then the parent will again set the sig int, and at that time the child handler should execute and give you that interrupted message, and then it should stop. Okay, so let us now save this file, get exited, and now compile it and run it. So first it is showing that I will not stop. Okay, I haven't given slash n, so that's why in the same line. So first secret is sent to the children, right? So it will not stop. Okay, then sig int has been sent to the children, so it is interrupted and get exited, and then a the parent handler shows this message. Okay, child has stopped. So this is how you can communicate between the parent and child using the signal. Okay, using kill command, using the signal handler and all. So what we will do next, we will do two of the error message for kill signal. Okay, so if I show you the kill, so there are two error messages, right? An infinite signal was specified. Okay, so let us see these three whether it is working or not. Okay, So what we'll do, we'll see in hell. Okay, so let us do. So let us create another C file, right? Nano. Uh, Keep the name. Okay, so give the name like killwheel. Okay, killwheel.c. And so what we'll do, let us do like hash include stdio.h. Okay, and then hash include signal.h and hash include. Next we have std.h. std probably not required anyways. std.h, so int main, and from main let us return 0 first. Return 0, and then what we will do, so we send we have seen three types of error message, error, right? So one is your inval, that is called invalid signal sent to process. Okay, and next we have like e search, sorry, no search process id, and next will permission. So let us do like this. So suppose if kill, so what I will do now, I will do like pid underscore t, and suppose let us do like a number. Okay, any number randomly, suppose 1000, and what we will do, we will try to send some signal, suppose sig int. Okay, uh, to this sorry, we are trying to send sig int to process pid. PID, okay, so PID equals PID and sig int. Okay, so now we don't know what will happen. Okay, so okay, so let us take this value in some integer, right? Int status. Kill, kill returns an integer, right? Yes. So let us take the status of the kill call. Okay, and next what we will do, we are taking a random PID. We don't know whether it is existing or not, or whether we have permission to send this signal to that process or not. And then what we will do, we will check the status. So if it is have given some error or not. So if status double equals to 0, it means worked successfully. Okay, okay. Else if status equals to like e inval inval. Okay, so so what we will do now, we will write another int which is for signal, and let us do sig int for now. Okay, and in place of sig int, let us pass this variable. So what we'll do, we'll change the value of the sig later on in the later example. So anyway, so let us do this like else if fixed, if inval, then printf some so printf invalid invalid signal. Okay, slash n. Otherwise, we'll see status is equals to like EPERN. Yes. So that will be like printf permission denied. Okay. Slash n. And otherwise is if status equals to ES or CH. Okay. And printf like uh, no such process. Okay. ES or CH. So we can like no such process. Okay. So these are the expected values of error values of the kill command. And if you get anything except this, so let us think like not sure what happened. So this is a simple program. What we are doing is sending a signal uh, through kill to a random process ID, and we'll send a random signal. Okay. So once the kill is returned, so kill will return some value, and based on that value, we can also do some work. Okay. So let us see. So what will happen? So for C guide is a valid signal, right? So this key inval will not be the case. So what should be the case? So it could be the case like EPRM, so permission denied. So this process might not have permission to send signal to process 1000. It may also happen that process 1000 doesn't exist, right? So in that case, it should be no such process message should be given, right? If any of this not given, it will show not sure what happened. Okay. So let's compile this like gcc kill bill dot c minus o dot slash kill bill dot out. Okay. I think we need another header file for this. Maybe let us see. Yes, systypes.h. Okay. So we also need to include systypes dash include systypes.h. Okay. So exit, compile, it is
স্যার
বলো।
স্যার বলছি যে কম্পাইলের যে লাইনটাতে রেখেছেন মাইনাস ও দিয়ে ডট স্ল্যাশটা কি হবে নাকি ওটাতে শুধু কিল ডট সিটা হবে?
আচ্ছা এখানে বলছো বাট এটার জন্য that is not the case. It is telling that e-inval is undeclared first use in this function, but for kill we have this signal.h and systems.h. Okay, and here it is telling that these are the errors that can happen, and not only that, you can also see that it is colored in red. Okay, it means it is getting the values. Okay, so if I write something after that, hmm, sys types and signals both has been included in our program, right? Sys types and signals. it has been included in our program, and it is giving the error. What was the error? Uh, why should it give this error? Skill. Skill is returning 90, right? So skill is returning 90. Hit E1, EPRM, EPRM, and ESRCH, ESRCH, and ESRCH. Hmm. So okay, so let us do one thing. In case of doing all these things, okay, so let us take this signal. Let us make this comment out. Okay, so let us comment this whole thing out, and rather we will use p error. Okay, in case of this. So if kill PID seek, okay, not equals to 0, kill returns 0 when it is successful, right? Kill returns 0 when it is successful. Yes, and success return 0. So if it is not equals to 0, then some error is occurred. So next we will print p error. Okay, so p error kill. Okay, so now what will happen? Let us see what happens. Control X, compile it, and dot slash kill will. So it is telling no such process. Okay. So the thing is, I never tested it like that before. So the error that is giving that e values like this EPRN, ESRCH, and DNFL, but I think we should get this value. We should able to check this. But anyways, this status based on this status actually p error. So let me show you the man of p error. Okay, so p error prints a system error message. Okay, so what error message has been got from the system. Okay, so what it is showing, so whatever we are writing within the p error message, so let me show you the process. So whatever we are writing that within the p error message, this will actually printed first, then colon, then the system message. Okay, system error message. So that system error, that eval, EPRM, ESRSH, so in this case we do not, we are having this one, right? So if I show you the output, it is telling that no such process. Okay, but this message is not written by me. It is written by the kernel itself. So if we look at it, uh, I have also written no such process, but there is an exclamation sign after that. So anyways, p error, what it will do, it will show this message and then it will show the system error message. Okay. So for this set of value, it is telling that no such process. Okay. So let us do one thing. Let us find out what are the existing process currently we have. Yes minus x. So let us do like this. Yes. Okay, and we'll have so many things over there. So what will we do? There are some process of kill dot out is still running. Okay. Uh, so what we'll do? Let us send signal to this 5615. Okay, or 5614. So let us send signal like 5614. So let us give PID 5614. Okay, and then save it, exit it, and see what will happen. So now the process exists. We have already checked, right? No such process is not there, so the process exists. And if we now compile it and run it, so probably the process has been killed, or the processors, if not killed, if it is the handled 5614 is yet there, because for kill dot out actually we have written that handler, right? So that handler is getting this one. So let us try to send this signal to suppose 1. Okay, let us try to send the signal to 1, and let us see what will happen. So nano feedback in case of process PID for 1, actually it should be like permission denied. Okay, so control S, control X, and compile it, run it. So operation not permitted. Okay, so because 1 is the system process, so that process exists, but we cannot give them those things. So two messages, two kind of errors are verified, but not sure why we cannot check this. This is called this is not declared. So permission denied, but invalid signal. Okay, so let us do with invalid signal. Like in case of SIGA entry, let us suppose give some signal like say 10,000. In case of SIGA entry, let us give some signal like 10,000 or 1 lakh. So the the value we will have is like uh, for this signal value we can have actually small int integers. Okay, so probably 8-bit integers. So now if we try to compile it and run it, so it is calling invalid argument. Okay, so the signal that we are passing is way too large. Okay, so not sure why this is not working. I mean, this should work. So anyway, you got the idea, right? So whenever kill is getting some parameters which are not valid, like permission denied or invalid signal or no such process exists, it write different status, but the status should be read from the program. I will check why it is not read, and if I get any update, I will let you know. Okay. So that is it for today. Next week we will not have any class. So next week on the Friday we will have the class. Okay, and I will also try to give some assignment. by today, if not tomorrow. Okay. And one more thing for the students of operation research who are available right now, like Sukantu, Ravi, and Devanjana. So, what we will have, Vidisha is also there, Abhishek is also there. So, tomorrow I think probably PK and sir will take your classes, right, from 10 a.m. So, yes. So, what will, so tomorrow the weekend test will not be happening. Okay, so we will take the test. I thought of take the test tomorrow afternoon, but I found that there is Google Kurjan and Ravi is performing there. So give him some time and space for that. So we'll take the test on Monday. Okay, Monday from 11 a.m. Okay, so we will have the test on Monday on 11 a.m. Okay, for the operation research guys. And again on the Tuesday we will not have the OR class. We will have the next OR class on the next week. Okay, so that's it for today. If you have any queries, you might ask now, or otherwise we can end this session. Okay, then we can end the session. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.